Do you want your landings to not only be faster, but also to be more accurate in Arma Reforger? Well, luckily, you came to the right place. I'm your chopper pilot, and I've flown for over 400 hours in Arma Reforger. But here's the thing. I've almost only flown in the King of the Hill game modes. Some have described this game mode as the helicopter gauntlet, so to speak. Not only are the landings incredibly difficult, but they require extreme precision. And I recently achieved a milestone of dropping off over 20,000 troops in the King of the Hill game mode. So I want to try to take some of that experience that I have in one of the hardest game modes for flying and try to help you with landing in Arma Reforger. Before we get into the tutorial for landing, if you haven't seen some of my past videos, I would highly recommend watching my flight tutorial video, which will go over general basics, not only for things like keybinds, but also discuss things like flying and briefly even touch on things like landing. I would also highly recommend my keybind video, where I go over all of the keybinds for flying the helicopter in Arma Reforger. The keybinds can sometimes be confusing, and some of the movements or things that I discuss may not make sense without understanding what the keybinds are. So checking out that video will not only potentially help out your keybinds, but may make things make more sense in general. Today, for our landings, we're going to go over quickly a beginner landing, some intermediate landings, and some advanced landings. And I will have one situational special landing you may be able to consider. Let's begin. We are in the Game Master mode. We're already in a Little Bird. Today's video is mostly going to be Little Bird focused. I will make a video in the future for other helicopters, but I figured this is one of the most mobile and one of the best to practice with, so this would be one of the better first videos to release. The Little Bird. I've already spawned, I'm already inside of the helicopter, so let's discuss our first landing, which is our beginner landing. I like to call this the slow descent. I've seen some pilots do this, and that's where simply they will tilt their nose up and decrease their collective, coming to a, as I like to say, slow descent. Now, the reason why I say this is a beginner landing is because, as you can probably tell, your accuracy, where you land, and how fast you land are things you may not be able to control in the best of ways. But it's pretty simple and almost anyone's going to be able to do it. Tilt your nose up, you just hold the collective down. You may need to tilt your nose up less or more depending, and you may need to just tap your descent as opposed to just straight holding it down. So, that is one of the first landings that you may possibly already be doing or attempt to do in Arma Reforger. The intermediate landing for Arma Reforger is a hard turn or a J-hook, as some have described it. This is where you do several buttons in combination. Example, not only am I tilting my nose back, I am rotating the helicopter with cyclic right, and I am rotating the helicopter with anti-torque right. So if you do all of those things in motion together, it will make what will look like a hook. Or as some have described it, a J-hook. Now, you can get better and more accurate at doing this landing by trying to figure out the distance in which your spin and your hook and your turns can combine together. Now, the one thing I would recommend with this J-hook is try your best to stay as low as you can, as consistently as possible. What I would like to consider a more advanced type of flying maneuver, I like to call a flip J-hook. So it's kind of taking the J-hook to another level. So it's not only doing the hard turn or the J-hook, but it's also adding heavy kind of button combinations. So, the button combinations that I'm going to be hitting in order. I'm going to be holding cyclic back the most. I'm going to be holding cyclic right, anti-torque right, and I will be tapping collective down or decrease my speed. And if I do all of those things in combination, you can basically go from 100 to 0. And you can stop almost like on a dime. And if you get better and more consistent at doing the spin or doing the, what I like to call the little flip landing, then what will happen is you'll get better at being able to land and figure out what spot you want to land in exactly. So doing the spins helps not only remove a lot of your speed, but it helps you be able to position and kind of control where you want to land the helicopter. So it may look like it's adding a little bit more extra in terms of some spins, but again, the spinning is oddly helping us more than it is hurting us, because it's helping lose some of that speed and also can help with the positioning in terms of figuring out exactly where I want to land or where I want to be. Now, something I would recommend is going back, watching the video, looking at some of the landings, paying attention to keybind input that I have on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see when I'm holding W, if you watch my keybind video, you would know that that is my collective up. When I hit S, that is my collective down, or decrease my speed. So those are the situations where you can know or see, okay, I can understand when someone is or is not decreasing their speed. So hopefully you can use some of those types of landings to improve your own landings. I would recommend skipping the slow descent if possible and trying to move towards some hook landings or using some harsh, sharp maneuvers to remove a lot of your speed. Now, one of the bonus or last little things, this one kind of takes a little practice. You may want to try it in certain situations. It may or may not be relevant, but you can sometimes use the water in the game to remove a lot of your speed, and you can use that to kind of do a tricky little landing. So you can see I kind of dipped in the water. It almost destroys my entire speed. Is that a very useful landing? I've only done it probably in game like about 5-ish times. It's only been a couple situations where it's been useful, but it, again, practice makes consistency. If you're able to practice it more, you might be able to get better at doing some quick little water landings. Now, that was the landing tutorial for Arma Reforger. If you have questions, comments, or anything that you would like to see in the future, please leave them below. I would appreciate any feedback, as I am trying my best to not only improve on these videos, but trying to get them better as well. I stream on Twitch consistently Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, usually 10 a.m. until about 4 p.m. Pacific time. I hope to see you then, and see you there, where I will be hopefully playing Arma or maybe some other things. Until next time, I am your chopper pilot. Thank you very much, and I will see you.